Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Heart of the Southwest Virtual Work Experience Employers Workshop. Before we get started, I'll just ask everybody to mute their mics if you haven't already. It just, makes these things run a lot smoother. So again, welcome. My name is Victoria Gage, and I'm the Heart of the Southwest Hub lead. And I'm here to welcome you to today and why we're doing this. So the Heart of the Southwest Hub is committed to ensuring that young people have opportunities to experience work, the world of work. And the best way to do that is through actually being in the workplace. Unfortunately, due to the situation we find ourselves in, that is more and more difficult. It was quite challenging previously, but with COVID, even more so. So what we want to do, and what we're absolutely committed to do, is support businesses across Devon, Somerset, Plymouth and Torbay, and inspire you to help us inform young people about the world of work through meaningful workplace encounters. So by providing students with meaningful encounters, we're able to improve young people's understanding of the world of work. We're able to drive up their attainment, their ambition, their decision-making skills, and their life skills, and improve their life outcomes. So what we want to do is support you to run your own, well, not run your own, sorry, I don't want to scare everybody, to support you to host a virtual work experience opportunity that will grow your business and provide those young people with those really meaningful encounters of the world of work and help develop them and their futures. So our aim is to work with you and support you to create a careers programme, a virtual programme, keep saying the word virtual, to take place in March and July 2021. We really need to establish some times when we're going to run this in the calendar, because in order for this to be a success, we need to be able to inform our schools when these encounters are going to be available so that we can get them on board and timetabled in appropriately. So the objectives of this interactive workshop are to facilitate and enable a number of virtual work experience opportunities throughout the Heart of the Southwest, to support you with your virtual work experience plans, and to give you the confidence and the skills, the experience, the awareness that you need to deliver them, and to introduce you to Speakers for Schools. We're going to tell you about their fantastic platform to provide you with the opportunity to network and ask questions. So a little bit about how the workshop's going to run today. You're going to have the opportunity to participate in breakout rooms where you're going to be able to discuss experiences of those who perhaps have already run virtual work experience, talk about key concerns, some of the challenges that you might face, and what support you need. Facilitators will be on hand, and they're going to feed into the chat a summary of what you've covered, so that we can pick that up in the workshop and come back with any queries. We're going to do our best to ensure that everything that's come through on the chat is covered by the end of the workshop. And if you have questions, please do use the chat facility, because that is actually how we're going to be. The team are on hand to deal with inquiries as they pop up. So what else is happening? As I mentioned, Speakers for Schools are here to tell you about their secure platform, the support you would receive from them, and the practicalities of running virtual work experience. We're going to hear from Jacobs, who's an employer, a large employer that I'm sure you've heard of, who's been running this virtual work experience successfully since the beginning of the pandemic. They're going to be, we're also, sorry, I nearly forgot them. We're also hearing from Pete Keegan, a senior leader in Plymouth, who is going to talk to you about why this is so important. He's a senior leader with responsibility for careers, and he's here to tell us why it's so important to hear that school perspective on the real importance of running these workshops for our young people, a virtual work experience. So there'll be 4 polls running throughout the workshop, which we'd really be grateful for you to participate in, because we really want to capture your views so we can understand what's going on, how you're feeling about different aspects. All that remains for me at this moment is to say I do hope you enjoy this event and you leave us later today feeling confident, inspired and supported We're going to head out to the breakout rooms now, and have a great morning.
Thank you, Jo. Great to see you all, guys. I'm Kaelan. I'm Chief Customer Officer at Speakers for Schools. All right, so I'm the vamp. I'm going to come in while we work the technology out and make sure we can cover some of the key questions you guys are popping up in chat first around what is virtual work experience, how do we make it work, and what does really good quality look like. So over the next kind of 15 minutes or so, I'm going to walk you through a little deck just so we can cover a whole load of ground really quickly in answering some of those key questions. But then most importantly, we're going to get to your questions. So keep firing them up in the chat. They'll be picked up by the Careers Hub team, and then we'll make sure we answer all of them during that Q&A chat just after the slides. It is wonderful to get to present to you all. So whether you're in Devon, Somerset, Torbay or Plymouth, it's wonderful to see so many diverse employers that are coming to answer the call from the LEP in order to see what we can do to deliver a difference to young people. We all know now more than ever, just like Victoria said, this is so critical to make sure we really inspire and raise the aspirations of young people across the Southwest. We're delighted to be partnering with the LEP in order to help facilitate that. So we're your engine and your support in order to make sure we can host, do all the heavy lifting, and you guys get to do what matters, which is be right there with the young people to inspire them. So let me dive into my slides just so I can make sure we can rattle through some of the key points that will help us understand what a great work experience looks like. I'm going to talk through who Speakers for Schools are, what we do, and then most importantly, how it works for you. So bear with me, strap yourselves in, keep your arms and legs inside the carriage at all times. We're going to buzz through this and make sure we can answer all your key questions. So we're Speakers for Schools. We've been around for 10 years. We're a not-for-profit charity that's supported by this gentleman here. He runs a very nice hedge fund down in London. Andrew Lowe supports 10 education charities, including ours. And in exchange for the funding that he gives us, we are set the task of leveling the playing field for every young person across the UK and making sure they have equal access to the top opportunities. That's one of our key values in making sure that we can improve social mobility. And across the Southwest, as many of you will know, there are huge pockets of deprivation. There are huge pockets of challenge to access, whether it be digital or location or rural based. And indeed, it's our mission to make sure we can support every young person to gain access to those great opportunities in your companies. We are a not-for-profit charity, so we focus on impact, not on finance. So everything I'm going to talk to you about today is a free service that we provide to every single employer. We provide a free service to every single school, college, and sixth form across the Southwest too. We are absolutely dedicated to making this difference now. So we just changed our policies from being a chargeable system for employers to free, and we are committing free for all for good. So we will continue to offer a free service now and in the future. And we put customer service at heart as well. So me and my team are with you at every step of the way. You'll have an independent consultant within my team that'll support you at every stage. So if you're not quite sure how to transition your physical work experiences to virtual, we'll help you with that. If you've never run one before, but you really want to make a difference in your community right now, we're right behind you too. We were founded 10 years ago by Robert Peston, the ITV political editor, and he has set us the task of delivering 1 million work experiences a year in just 2 years' time. That's 1 in 3 14 to 19-year-olds every single year doing a work experience with us. So we are gearing up for that growth in making sure we can really reach 1 million young people a year. We've got 4 programs as a charity. Our Inspiration Program is where we take celebrities and senior leaders from across great companies in the UK and take them into schools to deliver meaningful, inspiring talks, often on resilience. And it really is about that see it to be it kind of moment for young people. We have our Work Experience Program, which obviously I'm going to talk about a lot more to make sure we're all with us. But that's obviously connecting you and schools together in a way we can deliver really meaningful and very high quality work experiences. Something that's coming in January is our progression program. So this is where we will help young people that are leaving school into higher education, apprenticeships, and early careers. So again, if you want to get involved in work experience as an early talent pipeline, we're helping with that next step to make sure we can get those young people into your apprenticeships and early careers. Lastly, we've got our youth card. So this is an app and a valid form of ID that offers discounts and offers to the especially young people that are across the Southwest and the rest of the UK, but it's also the best way to put these opportunities in inspiration, experience, and progression right into the palm of a young person's hand. So again, we can make sure they can access these opportunities in any which way. So we are growing right now. It is very unusual for most businesses to be growing right now. And indeed, many of you might be in survival mode as we go through the COVID crisis. We're in a slightly different boat. We were just 8 people as a charity a year ago. When I joined 68 days ago, I was employee number 16. I've been on a massive hiring binge since then. We're now 45 and we're on our way to 80 in just 6 weeks. So we've grown tenfold in the last year. That's including us putting humans on the ground in the heart of the Southwest. So our new Southwest team is based in Bristol, starting in just 2 weeks' time. So we'll have local experts that have homegrown from your region, helping guide you at every step of the way. We're doing that because we're confident in helping pushing through this COVID crisis to make the biggest difference now. So let's talk much more about work experience. Now you know a little bit more about us, and I cannot wait to cover all of your questions. So Joe and the Careers Hub team will be picking these up and then we'll cover them afterwards. But let me see if I can cover a lot of them as they're coming through. So work experience for us is really the eye-opening moment that makes a difference in a young person's life. You know, if you think about your own time when you were 14 to 19-year-old, what was it that raised your aspirations? You probably don't remember the work experience itself. Maybe you didn't even get that opportunity. But more often than not, people remember the people that they met, the inspiring workers that they interacted with and gained that work ethic influence from. We've been offering work experiences for the last 4 years, naturally doing them in person and on site. We launched our virtual work experience offer just 2 weeks into the first lockdown back in March. So since then, we've worked with 220 companies, 581 schools, and delivered just over 4,000 virtual work experience placements over the last 7-8 months. So we've got a good grip on this now. We know what we're doing. And some of the real key benefits we found are scalability. You know, often if you have a factory or an office, there's been a limitation on how many young people that you can inspire based on how many you can literally fit into the room. Now we've got the great opportunity to work small or big, entirely down to the size of your organization and the resources you can commit to this. We do work placements from as little as 5 all the way up to 500 in one go. Naturally, it's usually a little bit closer to the 5 than the 500, but virtual really gives us that scalability. The second thing is accessibility. We've seen a massive difference in reaching remote rural communities, of those reaching, you know, even if you're 15 miles out of a major city like Plymouth, young people don't often go into work experience within that city. Here, we're finding a massive difference. So regional, local, and national employers are reaching geographically in order to offer these really awe-inspiring experiences. We've been working with Google, Spotify, PricewaterhouseCoopers, the NHS, a whole range of different companies that are now reaching the Southwest in a way they never were before. And we want to work with you as the regional employers of the Southwest in order to make sure we can retain the talent in your region and young people have a diverse choice of different work experiences they can have. The third thing we've learned is safeguarding. So if anything, safeguarding is easier when it's online because we don't have to go through security checks when they're coming to potentially a secure building or a health and safety issue where you might be running a factory. Here online, we can give really immersive experiences and still make sure that everything that's within that virtual space is safe for you, so you have the confidence to connect with young people, but most importantly, safe for the young people themselves. So let's talk a little bit more about what that looks like. So one of our great strengths that we bring to you is we work with a whole range of schools. Schools are wonderful, but they can be hard work. So we make sure we take all the effort in ensuring that we meet their goals, and we do that for you, so you don't have to. We work with a huge variety of different types of schools. So we work with special education and disability schools. We work with pupil referral units, those that are maybe have behavioral challenges, as well as those across mainstream education. And again, we typically work from 14 to 19-year-olds. So catching that year 10, year 11, and then into sixth form and FE colleges that might be closer to any apprenticeship or early careers jobs you have. We work with different sizes of schools, and of course they're across the Southwest as well as the other locations across the UK. So whether you're a national employer or a regional employer or indeed a local employer on the call, we can make sure we fit for you. We are working with the LEP in order to grow our reach into more of the schools across the Southwest. So right at the top, Victoria walked you through the key pilot dates we'd love you to get involved with so we can help rally forth the schools and colleges of the Southwest to make sure they can get the most from this opportunity. So we really focused on impact. That is absolutely mission critical to us. And we all know there are areas of deprivation across the Southwest that we really need clear focus. So we're quite proud that we integrate with our school systems in order to make sure we've got very accurate data that prioritizes young people. So for instance, young people who are on free school meals or on a pupil premium, those that have an ethnicity which is typically more restrictive, those that have other factors that might be social economic areas of deprivation factors. We work with all of that data, and then you get to see very high, medium, or low need students. So you can prioritize making your impact of the virtual work experience to those that need it most. And what you're seeing here is our very high need students are 55% likely to get a work placement with us rather than 38% for low needs. So we're proud that our employers make the difference where it matters most with those high need students. Many of them have never had a work experience before, only 8% have. So this is your chance to make the biggest impact. So let's think about options and what it kind of looks like tangibly. So we do Insight days and placements, both on-site and virtual. It will not shock you to know that everything is virtual right now. So let me wander through those. We offer a one-day Insight day, and this is kind of like the buffet card of your business. So often a 10 till 3 or a 4 till 8 slot in terms of timing. And this is where you might give some presentations about your company or organization. You might have a couple of different characters that are in different job roles talk about the different variabilities that are on there. This is your chance to help demystify your business and your industry to young people. Often young people come to the call with a manufacturing or construction firm, and they think the only jobs that are in construction are with their two hands, literally building bricks. And you get the great opportunity to say, no, there's marketing roles, there's customer service roles, there's health and safety. Here's the full spectrum. And that's that eye-opening moment. So you give lots of presentations through that time, but most important here is interactivity. So all of our work experiences are live, so young people can connect with you, ask questions, and get your authentic reactions to make sure it's important to them. We've seen this work awesome for young people who have dyslexia or minor accessibility issues with audio or visual. We've seen it work amazing with the lower confidence, more introverted students that find that digital barrier brilliant in terms of chatting and maybe asking questions they wouldn't have in person. You also have a great tool set in Google Classroom that we host entirely for you. You just turn up with your content. Here you can use quizzes, polls, breakout rooms, and a bunch of other great technologies to make sure it's interactive and engaging for young people. We will coach you at every step to make sure you're getting the best and most engaging content. We then have our virtual placements. So these are 3 days or 5 days at your discretion based on the resources and impact you want to have. This is where we get to be far more immersive on skill development for young people, where we can assign projects, deliver activities, get them to work together and present back to you in a way that you can deliver feedback. This is the golden piece of advice I give you. Whether you do virtual work experience with us or anyone else, you need to make sure you're giving feedback individually to young people, because that's the light bulb moment for them, where they see a difference in how they can grow and develop based on your professionalism and expertise in your field. So again, these are the options that we can work with. This is what your journey looks like with us. And remember, everything I'm talking about is a free service. Once you register with us, you pop to our website, you type in your details for like 93 seconds and you're done. That's the whole system. We just make sure you're not an ex-murderer, and then we send you your login details to our unique portal. That's when you'll get an expert consultant from my team that will help you craft your strategy. So we'll talk about what resources you have, what you might have done before, what you really want to achieve, and then how many young people you want to reach when with which different types of work experiences. That's going to be different for all of you. So we'll work it uniquely with you. We'll then provide you unique guidance and insights on best practice. So we work with hundreds of companies all over the UK. We know what works really, really well in different sectors, regardless of the size of your business, SMEs right the way up to multinational corporates. So we can help coach you and give you that advice. Then through the portal that you have, you're able to hyper target your opportunities. So if you just want to reach within your local city or region, you can be geographically specific about that. If you are a construction company like Balfour Beatty that we work with, whereby they only want to reach female Asian STEM students with a wooden leg 12 miles outside of Ipswich for one of their projects, we can do that. We've got all of that data. It helps us be really specific about who you want to engage with your work experience. So again, for your organization, you might have diversity and inclusion goals, corporate social responsibility goals, or indeed talent pipeline goals. We'll help you with that. You then post your opportunity up in the portal. It's like making a quick job ad and putting it on our marketplace board. It takes a very short amount of time, and that's when you can start managing your applications that come through. We'll do all the heavy lifting in working with the schools, getting all the safeguarding and making sure we equip young people to apply to you. You can then look through all the applications, tick which ones you want, and then we will make sure we prepare those young people for their experience. In setting up your opportunity, your work placement in the cloud, we will do all of that for you. We'll manage the administration, we will manage all of the security and safety and data. You just turn up with your content, fill it into the classroom, and then host your experience, because that's the moment that matters for young people. After you've had your experience, we'll take a flamethrower to it all, burn it all down, so there's no residual data or safeguarding challenge. We then review the feedback of exactly what you've delivered to young people. That's how it works, and we can go around this as many times as you like. So let's think about that portal, and this is what it looks like for you. So again, we do all the hard work with safeguarding. So rest assured, working with 14 to 19-year-olds can be challenging, and indeed there are lots of safety concerns. We will manage that for you, so you can have the confidence of just delivering. We've got loads of safety procedures that we can talk about, but none of them impact you. Our dashboard is then very smart, so you can manage all the applications that are coming through and make sure you're making the biggest difference with that data. And our experience is really seamless. So in terms of putting up your advert, choosing your applicants, and then of course, working within your virtual classroom, we'll help you at every stage to make sure we're doing the heavy lifting so you can just do what matters. So why us? Let me just summarize, because I'm running out of time. We've got a national network of schools, and of course we're increasing the number of schools across the heart of the Southwest. So in Devon, Somerset, Torbay and Plymouth, we are increasing the schools, colleges and sixth forms we work with, and again we'll manage them so you don't have to. We've got very intuitive technology here, so the average employer spends 13 minutes a week on the portal making this happen. So if you're worried that you're an SME and you don't have lots of time to put to this, don't worry, we're going to do a lot of that for you. You just make sure you do what matters. We're obviously committed to social mobility, so we're really proud that our highest need students are 45% more likely to get a placement with us than not. And of course, we'll work tirelessly from our service support to make sure you've got local experts on the ground to help you at every single stage to make sure you can make this difference. And then we obviously work with our data in order to make sure we can share the impact that you're having. These are the fabulous companies that work with us today. We've got just over 250 companies that work with us, and these are some of the biggest brands, but we'd love to work across the heart of the Southwest to bring regional and local employers so a young person can see a world of opportunity in our portal and choose the options that fit with their aspiration. If you'd like to get started, you just need to register on our portal. You can pop to our website to do so, and obviously work with the Careers Hub to make sure that you are letting them know too. We're going to be coordinating together in order to make sure we can deliver those dates that Victoria mentioned, but you can deliver work experiences whenever you want, and we'll make sure we work flexibly to support you. Thank you so much. I'll hand back to Joe, who can then cover some of the questions. Thank you, guys.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kaylin. That was really, really useful. And we've got a number of questions come through on the chat. Anne, do you want to kick us off with some questions from the beginning?
Yeah, sure. I think some of these may have been covered, but Jackie Vaughan had a couple of questions. How will the progression pathway work, with question number one, and do schools manage the admin process, Kaylin?
Yes, so our progression program's yet to launch, so keep a lookout for that one, but I'd be happy to share more details with you as soon as it happens. In truth, it'll happen in a very similar way. So in the way that we upload work experiences into our portal, you would just upload your apprenticeships and early careers jobs, and can do the same kind of selections to promote them out. And we'll work closely to go and source those young people for you. So that's how progression will work. In terms of schools managing the admin, we try and make it really easy on them as well. So actually we do all of that stuff in terms of making sure that we can manage the admin for you and for them, because we want to make sure we can make this as easy as possible, because then we'll deliver more of an impact.
Okay, great. Hopefully that answers your question, Jackie, but please do unmute and let us know if not. A number of people are asking about companies working together on this, offering multiple places and kind of merging their offer. Do you want to, would you like to cover how that might work, Kaylin?
Absolutely. That's one of my favorites. It really is, because not every company is large enough to host a full week experience, particularly now, and it can be really challenging to do so. We can help with that. So let me give you an example. In Northern Ireland, we have a lot of construction companies, but they tend to be much smaller organizations rather than some of the larger national brands. So they pull together, and we've helped them facilitate a Northern Ireland construction boot camp. So it's branded, but it's lots of SMEs working together with one lead company. So we need one of you to lead it and facilitate it to make sure it's consistent. And then every SME can do an hour and a half to make that inspiring difference. We see that work really well across different industries. And it's a good opportunity for you to get more from the sum of your parts. As young people, you could reach 250 young people in an hour and a half, which you wouldn't maybe have been able to do if you had limited resources. So if you're interested in doing that, we'd love to hear from you. And through the link, we can kind of group you guys together if you're in different industries or the same industries. And as long as one of you is willing to take the lead, we'll happily facilitate making sure that everyone, no matter the size of your organization, can make a difference to young people in the Southwest.
Okay, great. Thank you. This one is from B. Parry, and it might actually be one for our colleague Susie, because I'm thinking maybe he's from a school as opposed to an employer and is wanting to be connected with Swindon and Wiltshire area, and asking whether there's...
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank
A
you.
lot of reps are looking at this across the country, so.
Great. Okay. Claire is raising an issue around the security of information they're providing to the portal from an organisation perspective. Do you want
Sure.
to...
I can speak to that. So we take data really, really seriously. So from an employer point of view, there's no data that we're taking from you that would be considered dangerous. So we have login details for you as a human. We're not asking your waist size or anything dangerous, just your email address, your name, your company, simple stuff that you would log into any other website. In terms of then your work experience, you're then pouring your content into them. And some of that might be intellectual property or things that you might not want to be shared publicly. The way that works is your virtual work experience is an entirely protected and secure space. So the only people that are in there are you and the young people that you have selected to go in there. They are not able to take any information out. They can't even take screenshots of what's happening on screen. So we tighten it up and lock it down. Once you finish your work experience, like I mentioned, we take a flamethrower to the whole thing. So you will never see it again. It's like it never happened, mainly because obviously young people's content is in there, and that's even more important for us to protect than employer data. So we will make sure that's fully protected. There's no other times that we'll be taking data from an employer. So we've got you.
Okay, great, thank you. Many people would like a recording of your presentation as well as your slides, because I think in terms of taking that back to an organisation and getting buy-in, they want to hear the dialogue around the slides. So hopefully, sure. I think we're going to record. I think we are trying to record that today. So because there's a lot of information there. So hopefully we'll be able to.
And I must say, that's very flirtatious of you all. I take that as a huge compliment. Thank you very much. Yes, very happy to share more with you. We have our slides, but obviously we've got more information too. So if you just need a quick 2-pager that summarizes everything we said, because you want to send it to a senior leader, we have that as well. We'll work through the LEP in order to make sure you can access that stuff, to make sure you can do what's right here and really help get these virtual work experiences off the ground.
Great, thank you. Ruth works with unemployed, programs for unemployed, age 18 to 24, and I think wanted to explore some opportunities with you. So there's a lot of people that like your contact details. Have got various other options they want to discuss with you. I don't know if you want to cover, Ruth. Obviously, I've explained the program and the focus of the Careers Hub, and we're working with school students up to the age of 18, but out of interest, do you work with older unemployed?
Sure. So for us, we're kind of labeling hard to reach adults. So that might be those that are unemployed or out of education or training. We work with offenders or veterans. We work with abused women. There's a whole range of kind of challenging, marginalized groups that we want to work with. At the moment, we've done some trials with those things. Tomorrow is my first board meeting, and I've put a policy paper in for us to expand into any age category that meets those criteria. So stand by. I'm definitely with you in terms of making a difference to those that are beyond just school age. But as Anne said, it really is the LEP's focus for us to challenge on there first. I think I'd suggest for anyone that's looking at delivering experience, really think about that year 10 cohort first, if you can, because that really is more about making a difference at a time when they really need it. For some of those harder to reach adults, there are other times in the year where we can reach them too, to help manage that overall.
Okay,
really
sorry, Anne. I'm gonna jump in because we're just trying to keep to time. We do have the breakout rooms available. We've just got a couple of very quick questions to finish on, Kaylin, if that's okay. So there's a couple of questions around optimum group sizes and can the whole class do the same work experience at one time? If you want to just take those quickly.
Yes, please. So optimal group size is a little bit of a weird one. It depends on your content structure. So this is where our consultant will help you specifically. But a good rule of thumb is if you want to do something breakout and interactive, better to have one staff member to every 5 to 8 young people. So they would be the kind of mentor coach. And it's a great opportunity to get volunteers from across your organization just to give up an hour to do that one project in which they're supporting them. If you're just doing global presentations and you're just talking to young people and then getting your interaction from quizzes or activities, that can be very scalable. So there it's more like 1 to 50 or 100 young people can be kind of the good rule of thumb. In terms of working with individual, whole class sizes, that's kind of not how we work. What we get to do is within a whole class, not everyone's going to be interested in your sector or your company. We want to make sure that everyone's got individual choice. So this is more a case of you'll say we're running this great opportunity for a local theatre. We will then send that out to all of the schools that are within the range that you want to reach. So let's say you just want to reach everyone in the heart of the Southwest. We'll go to every single school and pick up different young people. So they've got a real variety of young people they would have never connected with, but it meets individually with their passion. So we don't tend to do whole classes. We work with individual young people that make up a mass, but they all interested in you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kaylin. And the very last question before we jump into breakout rooms is we've got an employer that's potentially worried about the amount of applications they may get and how they manage that.
Indeed, we will manage that for you. So if you tell us, hey, we can only fit 25 in, we'll go, awesome. What we'll do is we'll turn the tap off on applications when we get to about 30, 40, 50, depending on how picky and selective you want to be. So this isn't kind of open access where you're super popular and get mauled by 2,000 young people. Quite the opposite. We'll manage it carefully to make sure we're putting in, because of course we don't want to disappoint young people. It can be a big barrier for them to apply in the first place. So we want to make sure they're being really successful. So we'll handle that to make sure we get the right number of young people so you can fit with the resources you have.
Brilliant. And Rick says, if you get too many, send them his way. So that's great.
Okay,
Okay, fab.
overall, we'd love to work with you, and I'm sure you've got loads more questions that have come in chat. So reach out to us, work through the lab. We're right here behind you to support. Thanks, Jo.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Kaylin. Like I say, we do have some more questions, but what we'll do is collate those and send out the slides, send out the recording, and try and answer as many as your questions in kind of written format afterwards. So we'll try and cover as many as we possibly can. We'll move on to Adam, who's going to talk to us from Jacobs about their work experience. So Adam, I will share my screen for you.
Thanks, Jo. And then hopefully everyone can hear me, and I can just ask you to move on to the slides when we get to there, if that's okay. So this is a program we've been running through the pandemic. And if you can go to the next slide, please, Dan, or if you're driving it.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to do about 4 things. I apologize.
Thanks. I can see that perfectly. So thank you. So this just slide covers our overall STEM approach during COVID. We've got quite a number of STEM ambassadors across the Southwest, all working on various different activities. And the x-axis that you can see there is all the ways that we're supporting students, both internally and externally. And then the y-axis gives you an indication of the year groups that each program would cover. But as you can see there, so some of the activities that we've been working on include those weekly live activities, but we're here really to talk about the virtual work experience platform that we've developed. And clearly there, as I said, we're very fortunate. We have a really large number of STEM ambassadors across the business that can help us deliver that. So if you can go to next slide, please, Dan. And then just slide 4. So how do we go about picking the project, and what was the key criteria that you need to consider in making that decision? So in 2019, our program was a physically attended program. We built that around designing a community centre, and our work experience program ran for a week. But clearly a current program through the pandemic required a slightly new vision and approach. So some of the key points down, I won't read them bullet point by bullet point, but when we looked at this ideal project or product to deliver through the virtual work experience, we thought about allowing those students to collaborate as part of a team. Clearly students coming from different and diverse backgrounds and clearly interests. You need to consider things like, do you want your virtual work experience program to be delivered by individuals, or is it something that you would love them to be able to deliver as part of a team? So key considerations are, what is the project for your work experience program going to look like based on potentially the resources you have to deliver it? That was a really key criteria for us. So next slide, please, Dan. So this is our program that we have developed. We built it around developing and designing a coronavirus vaccine research facilities, and split this into those 10 topics or sessions. Each of those will have a relevant individual and expert within Jacobs that being able to support it. And we deliver it via the Microsoft Teams live broadcast media. So program there, as you can see, is certified silver by the industrial cadets, which means it obviously gives those students that number of structured work experience hours. And the benefit of the industrial cadet certification is that this gives students who graduate from the program some confidence to have an example of a project to talk about as experience in interview. If you think about it, especially when that awkward question, as I'm sure we've all been asked in interview by an interviewer, is give me an example of a project where. So some of the feedback that we've had is that, where students are going to interviews and being asked to give an example of a project where, they straight away can default to this virtual work experience program, and it just gives them a higher level of confidence. So next couple of slides, Dan, I think slide 7, please. So At Jacobs, we live inclusion, and it was critical that the programme was delivered by a very diverse team. And as an example, we had sessions being delivered by graduates and those directors with over 30 years experience. You know, obviously this is clearly resource constrained, but you might consider guest presenters. You know, we've done that on a couple of modules, managed to get in individuals from our professional networks to support. And in some cases, just delivering a short course, then it might be that just one person in your organisation is ultimately responsible. But always think about how diversity of thought adds to the content and experience for the cohort. We've just put up there some of the metrics around, you know, how diverse a team is actually producing and presenting this, and you know, geographically we've managed to get the spread across the UK as well. So those offices on the right hand side are Jacobs offices where we're actually delivering the virtual work experience program, not on an individual basis, but for some of the modules it's going to be picked up by Glasgow, and then others, you know, in Milton Keynes, Birmingham, for example, and wider. So slide 8, please, Dan. So this is just really the roadmap from the storyboard that we created and did to develop the program. But the one to highlight here was that the plan to run the pilot with only 6 or 7 students was the best thing we did, as we just learned so much from it and then managed to adapt the program and fine tune it based on the findings. I'll definitely be presenting a little bit more on that on the last slide, which gives more details. But, you know, clear recommendation for all of your virtual work experience programs is start small, do that pilot. You know, I think we did 6 or 7 Jacobs friends or family students initially, and we are sharing these slides, so you'll be able to pick up more of the detail in this and the roadmap that we developed. But yeah, certainly it's worth a storyboard session, sat around the table with a whiteboard, virtual whiteboard, and think about, you know, who you want involved in the pilot and who can add some real significant value with their feedback. Thanks, Dan. So slide 9. So how we delivered our virtual work experience was looked at in clearly some detail. By building this up modularly, it allowed the flexibility in delivering the program, i.e. having that separate topic that can be delivered independently, either by different individuals from across the business and at a different time, but when combined, obviously achieves the desired outcome. So yeah, we really thought about, you know, the time elements and how we were going to be delivering the program, specifically split over that 5 weeks. And when we built up the program, so previously I showed you on that slide that we had those 10 individual modules. You know, we clearly built those up individually with Jacobs staff, so they could be delivered, you know, not necessarily within a set time frame. And by that I mean, you know, module 1 could only be delivered perhaps depending on availability and flexibility of the resources that we had, you know, perhaps in week 2 when it was originally planned in week 1. But by having those modular independent program of work, it gave us a real opportunity to be a little bit more flexible. So the team was saying the best thing to do is think about splitting out your program into individual module courses. Slide 10, please, Dan. So I know Caleb there was a question specifically around safeguarding. And clearly, you know, you're creating a virtual platform, and just we have bi-weekly now and then going to be monthly town halls, global town halls with our chief exec officer, and we use the Microsoft Teams live broadcast. So safeguarding was a critical component of the program, and we got around this by limiting the data to just 2 individuals in the organization. And the data is stored via Microsoft Forms. So I know that there's going to be some technical questions here. And as I said, I don't profess to being the expert. I didn't design nor the program, but we have had the experts create a frequently asked questions video that will be embedded into the presentation. And I'm sure we'll answer the majority of those technical questions that might come up. but we also ensured that on each of our sessions that we delivered, we had at least 2 Jacobs individuals on the call. And one of the key things is that we really wanted to present that using the Microsoft Teams live broadcast function, which means students can't turn on webcams, and all of the Q&A is via the chat function. So it gives that level of safeguarding and control. Thanks, Dan. Slide 11. So external accreditation, I've talked about industrial cadets. There's a number of those listed there. Usually tiering of certification is based on the number of hours for the programme, and schools will be measured around giving access to virtual work experience programmes. So we know that schools that have participated were pleased that this certification has allowed them to present as evidence of performance in this area of assessment. I'm sure a lot of the individuals on the call will be familiar with things like the Gatsby benchmarks. Next slide, please. So, and next one, thank you. So, work experience and workload. You know, we're in a pandemic. This is extremely important in terms of the time that individuals can be spending on this and the level of support that they're getting. So, we've looked at this and adapted the programme and adopted the programme to be able to be delivered effectively and efficiently, and this one's specifically designed for students in year 10 and, as it says there, as well as students in year 12, depending on that school. But you know, one thing and key thing when we approached schools to talk about this was how the programme interfaces with term dates. So next slide, please, Dan. So where are we with our programme? So there's just some statistics there. So over 500 plus students have now started and graduated. We had our last cohort graduate only a short time ago. So I'm pleased to say we're well over 500%. And whilst I won't go through all of those statistics there specifically, certainly, you know, one of the really positive things that's come out of it is the recommendation. So I talk shortly about, you know, how we get feedback on the programme, but we're really pleased to say that, you know, that statistic there of 97% of students would recommend the programme to a friend. Slide 17, please, Dan. So on the right hand side of the presentation, you'll just see, you know, there was a local news story in the Brighton Press. One of our graduates from the programme actually talked about it in some detail, and there's a little quote from them there. And we actually found the other day that an individual on their LinkedIn profile has updated their position that they've now delivered Jacobs virtual work experience at Jacobs as their LinkedIn profile, which we were really chuffed about. But there you can see the geographical reach of the programme. It just gives a visual geographic footprint of clusters of students who have now completed that, and then with more signing up in the Southwest region. But so far we've delivered this in the Southwest with schools in Bristol, Plymouth and Frome, and clearly have started dialogue with Somerset and Devon to expand the programme, and obviously look for the new cohort to join next year in the spring. So evolution of the programme over time, you know, this was new to Jacobs. Naturally, there will be an evolution of the programme over time, and we took positives and negatives from previous cohorts to continuously improve the programme. As you can see from the bar chart, we steadily increased numbers from that initial pilot and have now ran more cohorts over the summer holidays. So clearly there are some technical challenges, and the team that developed the programme have created that video that I've talked about, a video recording that I will embed into this presentation before we issue it out, and I'm hoping it will answer the majority of those technical questions you have. For example, how we handle things like student email addresses. I'm sure there's a number of questions that are coming into the chat, and if I can't answer them, then we're going to put those all together and collate them and send them on to the experts. So feedback from the students has been extremely important, and we created a feedback survey which is issued at the end of the programme, and you can see on the screen some of those common themes, particularly in how it helped improve certain skills. Some of the findings presented on screen are linked to the Skills Builder framework developed by BITC, so I'm sure some of you will be familiar with that. You know, when we, some of the text is small, apologies, but when we send this out, you'll be able to see that, you know, things like creativity and problem solving were some of the really key attributes that students say that this virtual work experience program has improved their understanding of and learning in. So interestingly, listening is really high. You know, a virtual work experience program where, you know, you're delivering this via Microsoft Teams live broadcast. We found that students were really engaged in that process. You know, probably from our experience when we're delivering STEM activities, you know, in a physical classroom, you know, individuals really had to sit and listen. So some of the feedback around improving their listening skills was really quite interesting. Slide 20, please. So you can just run through, yeah, Dan, just run through this. So to ensure appropriate support during the life of the programme, at the end of block 1, which was 2 weeks, and then block 2, weeks 3+, we also have asked students to complete a survey. The reason being that as we hadn't created a virtual work experience programme before, we could learn what was going well and what wasn't going so well during the life of the programme and not at the end of it. This clearly meant that at each block stage, improvements could be made and the updates incorporated before the next cohort started their programme of virtual work experience. So we might have had quite a number of cohorts overlapping, but by having this feedback and student surveys at the end of a couple of blocks, we certainly could then update, improve the virtual work experience program before the next cohort started. So this really helped with continuous improvement in how we developed and obviously failed fast, learned fast, and improved fast. So I think that gives you a quick snapshot of Jacob's journey, Dan. So I think we just go to the last slide, which is pretty much just for me to say thank you for listening. Maybe we have some time for questions and I'll try my best to answer them, but as alluded to on the emergency stand-in for the experts, and I'm sure a load of the FAQs around technical challenges and delivery will have been covered in the video that we'll clearly send out, and then I'm sure Joe and the team will collate these and pass them on. And then finally, good luck with creating your own programs. As you can see from the positive feedback we've received, the efforts you put in will definitely be rewarded. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Adam. That was really, really useful. Thank you very much. And yeah, we'll absolutely send slides and, you know, your additional kind of video out as well. So I think everybody will really benefit from that. So thank you so much for sharing. We've not got as many questions as you would have thought, actually. You'll be pleased to know.
That's good.
But there is one around costings, Adam, and I don't know whether you're able to answer that, but what did this kind of, to set all of this up, do you know what it cost you as a company?
It's really difficult to say on costings, and I actually asked Jason, who you know, obviously Jason and Bobby, who put all this together, whether if we got a question on costings, what that looked like. And because of the way that Jacobs runs their STEM ambassador program and the time that was allocated to Bobby and Jason to deliver this, then individual businesses, you know, will be able to, I suppose Bobby and Jason said to me, the best way to look at this is what can you afford to do? Is probably the best way to put it, because, you know, you can go into so much detail and Jacobs is completely evolving and changing the model. But it's really difficult for me to say, you know, it costs £2,000 to do this, because every employer will be different and they'll have different, you know, for example, the cost of time is the key thing here, right? You know, regarding CPD, for example, so those individuals that have got 30 years experience, you know, they've been doing this as part of CPD, as extracurricular activity. So the true cost is really hard to calculate.
Yeah, no problem at all. Totally understandable. Thank you so much. Adam, I think just because of time, we're going to take the rest of the questions, if there are any, away, and then we'll come back to you and Jason, if that's okay. But like I say, hopefully most of it will be covered by the video and the kind of slides that we're sending out. But we're running out of time, so thank you so much.
No, please, that's absolutely fine, Jo. And I think the video is 17 minutes long, so yeah, good luck.
Brilliant, thank you, Adam.
Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. So we're going to move on to Pete now from All Saints Academy. Pete's just going to give us a bit of an overview from a school perspective. So again, might be able to answer some of the questions that have been put into the chat. So Pete, I'm hoping that you're there.
Yeah, hi there. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yes, we can. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so I'm Pete Keegan and I'm an associate assistant head teacher here at All Saints Academy. Firstly, I'd like to say I'm amazed by 87 participants. That's really fantastic. So thank you all for joining in. That's really exciting. So our academy serves a, relatively speaking, fairly deprived area of Plymouth. We have over 65% of our students receiving free school meals. As you can imagine, this links pretty clearly to student aspirations and to the community's expectations of the young generation. This is why careers education, including work experience opportunities, is so important, especially now. Students are in desperate need for three things, in my opinion. The first being the need for encounters with professional people, positive role models who can enlighten them about the value of working and finding a career that suits them and will really bring out the best in them. The second is confidence, self-worth, and those precious employability skills. With so much of life now conducted through screens, more than ever before, young people need to learn to stand tall, to make eye contact, to shake the hand, speak clearly and respectfully, and to wear their skills that they've got on their outside so that all can see. Thirdly, students need to understand the landscape of jobs and careers that are available to them if they're willing to work hard for them. So this, of course, needs to take into account the local labour market information, so the supply of the skills meets the demand for the local area. And from a recent survey, when we asked Year 7 what they think they might do when they're older, have a little guess. What do you think might be the top two responses? So they were footballer, professional footballer, and YouTuber. And the YouTubers were tending to talk about kind of like showing kids how to play games. That was like the main gist of it. So these early choices are often driven by an attraction to perhaps the lifestyle of their role models, as well as in many cases having nobody really to talk to about their future and helping to guide them. So often students couldn't even name more than between 5 and 10 different careers. And therefore it's no wonder that these two choices feature so highly. So we need to show students before they make all their important next step decisions that there are potentially wonderful careers for everybody out there. So work experience plays a huge role in helping fulfill these three needs. So let's just think about what makes the perfect work experience. So firstly, a student needs to have given the idea of the work experience a lot of thought. So this really requires conversations from quite an early age around their ambitions and their aspirations, allowing them to explore themselves, their interests, the skills that they have, their values, even their priorities. Ideally, a student will therefore already have a really good idea of the type of profession, or at least have made some choices that they like to go into before they and then able to focus on, so that they can basically focus on local businesses and organisations that can support that. So the best use of work experience is to really gain an insight into a particular sector of work, develop skills and give enriching experiences that will give them plenty to reflect upon in a future interview for further education or a job. Ideally, students will meet lots of people from an organisation and have an insight to many different aspects of the business. Students should be challenged and feel that they have some measure of responsibility, so that their contributions, no matter how small, are valued and have been some sort of success. It will also help them to secure their decisions. And actually, in many cases, they find out that this perhaps isn't the career for them after all. And actually, that's a great thing to find out before wasting more time, money, studying towards a goal which perhaps isn't for them. For others, it will really cement their ambitions and thus give them a big push to do the best they can in their education. And that can really give us a good boost coming into year 11, we see motivation really rise, and we see the performance and subjects really increase, which is great. Unfortunately, every year, one challenge we face is the appeal of kind of the easy option. So this is when students, they don't really consider their aspirations and will seek out or just accept a placement from a family connection maybe that's totally unrelated to their interests. So, I mean, this still gives students a sense of what it's like to work and to be responsible and to turn up on time and those sorts of things, but it's not motivational, and it can be comparatively a wasted opportunity. So we try to minimize this through careers education in school, but it goes without saying that the more placements and support from businesses we have, the less we're going to see these less than ideal choices. From conversations with employers, I really appreciate how the idea of taking on an unvetted teenager for a whole week can seem like a terrifying, daunting prospect, to say the least. So we do our best to prepare the students and welcome involvement from employers to help with this. And often by telling us what the employers need, that can really help. I, of course, cannot speak for every student, and I can't say they'll all prove to be model employees. But you know what? Sometimes they will just surprise you, and we have absolutely fantastic young people. You just need to get to know them. So things have been very different recently. 2020 work experience for us, we had it booked for the week we went into lockdown in March. So many of the businesses were, of course, forced to cancel. Some managed to keep their students for a few days and some even a whole week. And we were extremely grateful to all the businesses regardless of what you were able to provide. Our careers activity in school has had to reduce quite dramatically. With the restrictions we have had, there has been far less opportunity for the regular encounters with professionals. Am I still on? Just checking.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Right,
Pete, yes.
Something popped up on my screen, that's all.
Oh, sorry.
Fine, good, all good, no worries. So with restrictions we've had, there's been far less opportunity for those regular encounters that we have with professional people in school. So we'd usually get loads of people in, do lots of master classes, lots of talks, but those just haven't really been able to run. We normally have careers fairs, but they've obviously had to be virtual. Trips and visitors have often had to be cancelled. And we therefore have to really find ways to compensate for this and to give the students the opportunity they really deserve and really need. So this is why we need to be really creative in our approach to work experience this year. So with so many uncertainties, we need to put a plan in place that will give these students at least some of the wonderful benefits of a work experience placement. And I fear if we don't, we will have a significant increase in the young people in the NEET category, and we'll have less confident and less job-ready young people in our community who will only be harder to support once they've left school. I really want to start giving our lovely students some good news too. They are getting so used to everything being cancelled. And this is also, I fear, going to have a big impact on their outlook on life, their aspirations, their mental health. So please, if you can support our young generation, please do. Please get in touch with me if you would like to speak to me directly. I can give my email address in the comments. But that's my views done. I hope that was helpful.
That was incredibly helpful, Pete. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, really great to hear from, you know, a school perspective. So yeah, absolutely, and that's coming through on the chat loud and clear. So thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And I think we all you know, we all sympathise with the young people, particularly at the moment. So absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Fab. So I don't think there's, oh, okay, sorry, just a very quick question for Pete and Kaylin, just before we go into the wrap up. What makes a good experience from a student perspective? And I think you kind of covered that a little bit, Pete, but what from a student's point of view, what do you think, you know, really kind of engages them?
So they before the week, they're terrified. They're absolutely terrified by the idea of meeting new people, by being away from their peers, being in a new environment. And actually the best work experience is where they can come back and they feel like they've been valued and they feel like they've accomplished something by facing their fears, coming out, realizing actually I can take on a challenge like that and feel good about myself afterwards. You know, And like I said before, just the more people they can meet, the better. The more different aspects of a job and of an organisation that they can experience, the better. It's just mainly a confidence building thing, because if they don't have that in year 10, they are going to be very shy about their next steps when they leave school.
Yeah.
So I hope that answers it.
It absolutely does, and I can see a lot of nods, so thank you so much. That's brilliant. Thank you, really appreciated. Fab. So Victoria, can we just go on to the wrap up? I'm really conscious of time, so if we can head into the kind of summary and the wrap up, that would be great.
Thank you very much, Joe. Sorry, my screen went blank then. As Joe has said, we will be answering all your questions. We're going to follow this up with the answers to questions, slides, the recording. We're also going to be sending out a survey because we want to capture where you feel you might need support. So really keen, so please do let us know through the survey what you would anticipate needing in order to support a virtual work experience. Thank you all again for attending. It's been a fantastic turnout. I do hope the workshop has helped you to see that providing virtual work experience is a viable option for you. I just want to close on a few key points. So I think firstly, we've made a really good point that it's vital that virtual work experience is meaningful. So it needs to be interactive. It needs to be a two-way process. It needs to be project-based. Students need to be enabled to to explore different areas of the organisation, as well as meet with different employees through that virtual work experience offer. The Careers Hub and Speakers for Schools are here to support you every step of the way. Speakers for Schools is one platform. You know, there are others out there. Providing virtual work experience is really what this is all about. So whichever platform you choose to use. To maximise uptake, it's really important to us, the Careers Hub, that we establish some key dates of when we will be delivering. March and July next year are the dates that we know will work well for schools, and it gives us time to promote those opportunities and really get that buy-in from our schools and colleges that are going to enable young people to take advantage. And also, I think for the business community, having something a little bit further off that you can plan for is a lot easier. Finally, as Peter said, the real key thing is to help young people gain their confidence ready to enter into year 11 and how motivated they feel. So really, really important that the virtual work experience that's so key to our young people in year 10 who've missed out so much and might miss out is that we ask you to please do ring fence some of your work experience opportunities for that group. Well, they may not be closest to the labour market, but they are the young people that are coming through, that need to feel motivated, that need to understand the world of work, that need that confidence boost ready to enter year 11 and ultimately their next steps post 16. Thank you all very much again for attending.